Before we go anywhere else, I just want to make something very clear. All right, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One is not, in my opinion, a bad movie. In no sense of the word is it a bad movie. I don't think it's as great as everyone else says it is, but it's still a pretty good movie in my eyes. All right, it's got some good action scenes, it's got good acting, and it's got everything that the franchise, has been loved for years. But in my opinion, it still is, well, was since I finished watching it, very disappointing. Now, going into Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One, before the movie came out, before there was even like one trailer for it, I was already singing its praises. All right, I was completely out of the gate, off of the high that was Mission Impossible 6. Oh, the absolute perfection that was Mission Impossible 6. I was already preemptively calling this the best movie of 2023. Dashing aside Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Dune 2, Ninja Turtles, like everything else, this was going to be my favorite and just the absolute best movie of 2023. But unfortunately, as you can tell from the title, that did not happen for me, unfortunately. Like I just said, it's a good movie, it's got good elements in it and stuff, but what makes it disappointing for me is that it just does not deliver its elements to the highest level that is expected of the franchise, and just it's just not good enough. All right, it's just not good enough. It has all of the elements there to make it great, to make it a great film, but it just does not deliver it to the extent that it has to be successful, in my opinion. All right, so like I said about the acting, it's good, but it's not as good as it used to be, or at least in the previous film. About the action, it's good. It really is good. There's some great, hand-to-hand action scenes. There's some great chase scenes. There's some, like stunts that Tom Cruise does with like gliding and the motorcycle off the cliff. That whole train sequence was great. It is a great film, all right, and it does deliver what is promised, but just not to the extent that it needed. But it just was not to the highest extent that it needed to be in order to be successful. That is why I find it to be such a disappointing film. All right, so the action is good, but it's not good enough. The acting is good, but it's not good enough. All right, and I think that the number one thing that kept me back from, thinking of this as a good movie is the characters. They're just not as strong as they used to be. The stakes are pretty much just as high as Mission Impossible 6, but it's just, it's just not as good as that previous film. And, it just is what it is at this point because the movie's out, but it's it just sucks because I really had high hopes for this movie. I don't know, just like the writing wasn't all the way there. The jokes felt hokey in places, and scenes went on for too long. Action scenes went on for too long. I never thought that I would complain about an action scene being too long, but Mission Impossible 7 proves that that can be a problem for me. So yeah, it just did not deliver everything that was promised to the extent that it was promised. It's not as epic, it's not as well written, it's not as intense or as enjoyable as was promised, and that makes it for me a very disappointing film. Now overall, of course, like I said before, it's not a bad movie. I think it's like a solid 6 or 6.5 out of 10 or something like that, but like 95%, 9 out of 10, even like an 8 out of 10. I don't think that it's that strong. It gives everything that the fans expect, and which like kills me because it's like it's right there. Everything is right there. It gives us exactly what we want. It gives us the political intrigue. It gives us that like spy thriller James Bond type of thing, right? It gives us an interesting antagonist, multiple interesting antagonists, but it just does not deliver to the extent. It just feels like they kind of glossed over the story and just didn't make it as intense or as hype or as just as good as it could have been. It just felt like they kind of glossed over it and were like, oh yeah, they're gonna like this. This is good enough. And it's just not up to the level of the 4 previous films. I'm sorry, but Mission Impossible 6 is the perfect spy action thriller movie. All right, Henry Cavill in that movie is absolutely amazing. That bathroom fight scene is one of the best scenes in cinematic history. Literally, in all of cinematic history, that scene is absolutely amazing. One of the best action scenes of all time, and there's nothing like that in this film. There are attempts to do that, but just I don't know, just everything seems off. Everything is here, everything is right here, which is why it's so disheartening, because everything is right here, but it just does not deliver. All right, the action is here, but it's not good enough. The acting is here, but it's not good enough. The chemistry between the characters is kind of sort of there, but it's not good enough. All right, it's just everything is here, but it's just not good enough. That's basically what I have to say. All right, the movie has everything. It has everything that is required to make a good a great Mission Impossible movie. But it just does not deliver. That is the problem. It just does not deliver. Everything is there. Action, acting, set pieces, government, political stuff, all of that is there. Backstabbing, all that is there, but it's just not good enough. Everything is there, but it's just not good enough. So I'm kind of talking myself into circles at this point, so I'm just gonna end the video here. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1? Are you still gonna watch? Well, of course you're gonna watch Part 2. Even I'm gonna watch Part 2, but yeah, this was just such a disappointing film for me, and I have not seen anyone else share the same sentiment, which is good, honestly. I'm glad that they're enjoying the film as much as they are, but just me personally, I just expected more. And I don't think that is wrong of me to expect more from Mission Impossible, because it has always stood out. It has always, been the pinnacle of action thrillers of the 2000s. That nothing has surpassed that. And this film just does not, belong in my opinion in the same conversation as those ones of at least the past 4. So yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Oh boy, this has been Fraser, and see you all next time. Goodbye.